Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to begin here and talk about the difference between open and closed questions. Now, this is super important. When I was in some psychology and counseling courses at the Christian colleges that I went to, um, this was one of the first things they taught. You do not want to ask closed questions when you're talking to people. The goal is to control the conversation by asking questions. And this is true no matter what you're doing, if it's apologetics or consulting or a strategy call or counseling someone in your family, you want them doing the talking and you want to be asking the questions. The only time I'm not asking the questions is when I'm trying to get closer in relationship and I'm just sharing about myself. I'm hanging out with Zach or I'm hanging out with my wife or whatever it is we're doing, and we're just hanging out. Sure, I'm sharing about myself. But if I'm in a situation where I'm trying to create a certain outcome, I'm asking questions and they're talking. That is how we control the conversation. Now, how do we keep them talking in a way that allows us to slowly sort of guide things and maneuver the the conversation? Okay, and this is open questions. So I want to start with open questions, and then we'll talk about closed questions, which are rare that we you can use them, and that is a strategic option, but you don't usually want to use them. Okay, so an open question is a question that when it's asked, it creates an open dialogue. Okay. So it's like, um, oh wow, that sounds like that would have been really painful. I don't want to pry, but I'd love to hear more about that. That sounds like that was really painful. They can't say yes. They can't say no. They have to say, yeah, well, it really was. It was a 5 years and this is what happened. And now they're sharing again. You've gotten them to continue talking and sharing. And again, that's how we create connection. Now, if I said, well, was that painful? Yeah. Now we have asked a closed question. So a closed question is a question that elicits a yes or no answer, and then it's done. Okay. An open question is a question that allows them, and actually it allows them to talk further, but it disallows a yes or no, or it would almost be rude. So with open questioning, one of the best ways you can do this is to say, it seems, it sounds, it feels, and this is from the book Never Split the Difference. So one of the best communication books I've read. It's not initially obvious how it relates because he's talking about hostage negotiation for business. We're talking about evangelism. So good. But this is how you would use that. Well, you know, I could be wrong, but it seems like what you're saying is you're really angry at God because of what happened to you in the church growing up in this youth group. I've actually had to say that to someone, and they'll say, oh my gosh, whoa, you're really calling that out. Okay, they'll say one of two things, and it will work every time. It's like magic. This is magic. They'll say either, oh yeah, oh, it was so hard. No, oh my goodness, right? You're meeting a need to be heard. No one has ever just said it clearly that they can just align with it and go, it really was. It was, you know what? And I am angry at God because how could that happen and all this stuff. Okay. Now we know where we're at. On the other hand, I told them I could be wrong. I'm not telling them what they believe. I'm trying to understand. I could be wrong, but it seems like you're really angry with God because of what happened with that person in that youth group when you grew up. Oh, no. Well, actually, and then they'll clarify and they're not going to be upset with you because they can hear you're being genuine and you're trying to understand. So these are examples of open questions. You're asked, help me understand. It sounds like what you said is this. And then they'll just fill in the gap. They'll just keep going. And you can just keep doing that over and over and over. Now, somewhere I am going to be creating at some point more counseling based questions that we can be asking people, but this is one. Okay. It seems, it sounds, it feels. It feels like what you're saying is you're angry at God. It sounds like what you're saying is you're angry at God. And it always allows you to be wrong. So they can never accuse you of anything. So why, I said it's just what it sounded like. Nobody can do that. But what will almost always happen is they're just going to continue to talk. They're going to give you correction or they're going to say yes and then give you more information. And either way, they're sharing and they're revealing all of the different things we're talking about in this course. What's their position? How do they define these terms? who said this thing that they believe, when did it start? And so open questions are super important, and it is a question that does not allow them to say yes or no. It's, how did you come to this? When did you come to this? What was the reason that that happened? And allowing them to just further and further expound. Zach, do you have anything you want to throw in on open or closed questions?
Yeah, so if you are working with there is obviously a time for closed questions, more so in the
Yes.
beginning when you're trying to establish like
Yes.
some basic principles. So
Hmm.
like, well, can we both agree that the standard for a document's validity is if it has X number of sources from these types of X number of
Yeah.
references from these types of sources? That would be a closed question where it's just a binary yes or no, but
Or do
that's
you
because you're
believe in the Bible? Right? I've had to
yes.
do that. It's like, oh, okay. So you say you're a Christian. So you believe the Bible? Do you believe it's inerrant? Yes, yes. Okay, cool. Now we know, and that's fine.
Yeah. So there is obviously a place for the closed questions, but when you're really trying to
Awesome.
understand their perspective and get the meat, the open-ended questions are the ones you want to be asking. And then furthermore, if you're asking what's intended to be an open question and they give you kind of a closed answer in the beginning, just stay quiet. Most people are incredibly uncomfortable with silence,
10
especially when
seconds.
they're the Mhm. If you can just hold it and just hold the eye contact, continue to keep the posture open, like you're waiting for more often than not, they will then give you more, even if the initial answer was kind of cagey or defensive, because they're expected to continue filling in. They know that they answered with a short, clipped answer. If it's an open question asking about, well, tell me about how that made you feel. Like, can you kind of explain that for me? And then they're just like, I felt sad. Oh, oh, okay, sad. Can you and you can kind of prompt a little bit, but the silent, I even got uncomfortable just in the hypothetical there.
I did too.
Like, yeah,
I was like, don't
just
say
wait.
anything.
Don't say anything. Just wait it out. And that is a little bit of an added on part to the open questions. It's just if they don't cooperate, just wait it out.
I'm just messing with you. I was going to see if
I
I can
know.
get you to keep going.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, it really is uncomfortable when you just pause and you just look at them and you're just like, yeah, oh, what else? And you're just kind of prompting them and nodding. And yeah, no, they will absolutely keep talking. That's great. Okay, cool. So in this video, we just discussed open and closed questions. There are times to use open questions. There's time to use closed, but most of the time, if you're trying to learn about them and understand them and slowly kind of move the conversation in a particular direction, you want to be using open questions. And, you know, as you build skill in this sort of apologetics, you're going to start seeing the end. You know the arguments they're going to make. As soon as they say, I'm an atheist, you already know all of the arguments they can make. As you know, at this point, you've probably already seen that section. You already know all the arguments you can make. And so you already know all the positions they can take. And so you already know all the approaches. And so you're just going to start asking them the targeted questions on what they believe so you can figure out the best way to start addressing some of these sort of things they're going to bring up. So with that, thanks so much for being in this video. We will see you in the next one. God bless.